let's get started. I want to welcome you all to our webinar today. I am Jacob. I am part of our solutions group here at Cleo, and I am hoping to show you today a little bit about scaling your EDI with our fulfillment portal here at Cleo. And the goal today, I want to kind of walk you through some of the differences between the different offering that we have and talk through some use cases that we've seen customers take full advantage of and get some real value out of, and then hopefully give you some ideas of how you can make your supply chain orchestration processes a bit more efficient, scaled, and automated in a lot of ways. Without further ado, let me talk through a little bit about what I want to go through. From an agenda perspective, what I'll do is I'll talk through some options for automating our web EDI fulfillment portal. I think a lot of the attendees on today are using what we call the startup version of the fulfillment portal. Fantastic offering, but I do want to talk through a little bit about how we can automate some of those flows and give you some options for making those processes a little more efficient, especially as your business grows and your order volume grows as well. I want to talk through a little bit about warehousing and third-party logistics as well, because that's a use case we've seen a lot of our customers leverage and a lot of interest and frankly need from some of our customers that have needed to layer on some of those integrations, especially if you do outsourced warehousing or if you rely on a third party to do some of your fulfillment. And then we want to talk a little bit about label printing as well. It's a great tool as part of the fulfillment portal. But if we're doing it on a one-by-one basis, it can get a little bit unwieldy. So I'll show you some tricks on how we can automate that and do some of that in bulk as well. And then what I'll do is describe a little more detail about interfacing with some of your existing systems as in addition to talk through some options to automate. We'll do some Q&A and give you some ideas for next steps as well. I do want to suggest feel free, send any kind of chat information and any kind of questions you might have, any thoughts, anything that doesn't quite resonate or isn't quite clear. Feel free to toss it over. I'm more than happy to answer a couple questions as well. So do not hesitate. So what I want to do first is describe the kind of big difference between what we call our startup version of fulfillment portal and what we call our integrated version of fulfillment portal. Same tool, same interface, same functionality, same portal, same everything that you're used to in the startup version. And the left side of the screen, which I think most of you use today, it's a great tool to be EDI compliant with your customers, to process orders and invoices and ship notices and all the EDI documents that you might do today. And the beauty of this is that, of course, you don't necessarily have to have a full-blown, EDI EDI platform, some monolithic tool. You can use our portal to get up and running really quickly. The challenge comes where we have a lot of volume, where all of a sudden your order volume spikes. You have processes that you'd like to weave into your systems of record, maybe QuickBooks or Global Shop or Fishbowl, things like that, where manually keying that data in to our portal and to your system of record becomes a little bit cumbersome. And so one of the big things that we can do for our customers is we have this integrated option where we can actually speak to different systems of record. Some of you might do this today, which is fantastic. And if you don't, just be aware that there are options here to automate some of these flows so you don't have to key in all the data all the time. This is, again, I'll come back to this at the end and just describe a little more detail of how this works. But this is one of the big levers that our customers can pull in order to achieve a little bit more automation and some tighter integration to your systems. So, so what I want to do is kind of talk through the process here, and I'm going to go right to left. I'm just going to build this out really quick. So what I want to do is talk through the process of your order to cash, including the sell, fulfill, the bill side of your equation. And you'll see here I listed a handful of different documents: order, acknowledgement, ship notice, invoice. These are just examples, just example customers. What I'm really trying to show here is the kind of general makeup that most of our customers have. And whether you use startup or integrated, it's the same type of flow. It's just a matter of whether we're manually entering data into the fulfillment portal itself, or if we have some integration to and from our backend systems on the left side of this. What I'm going to talk through first are um, uh, a handful of different external processes that you might layer in here, because presumably most of you um, have orders, invoices, maybe a couple of these EDI documents set up with your existing customers. What we've seen is a lot of customers actually also have external fulfillment processes, whether you use a third-party warehouse or a third-party logistics firm, somebody that's either storing your goods for you or potentially also fulfilling on your behalf. Maybe you're just sending them, hey, here's my order information, ship my goods out to Walmart or Target or whomever I'm shipping to. And so that process kind of looks like this. This is a lot of words. I'm just going to describe this at a very high level, and you can kind of follow through the numbered steps here. But in effect, your current process where you receive an order and you might accept it, you might provide ship information, you might invoice as part of that. In the middle of that flow between the order and the billing side, the fulfillment's really important. And again, if you use an external party to do that fulfillment for you, there's a couple of ways that can be done, in particular within the fulfillment portal. So number one is to use actual EDI documents to interface with a third-party logistics partner of yours. Many of the 3PL and similar type organizations that provide these services actually speak EDI. So very similar to your customer base, you can actually transact EDI documents to and from your 3PL provider, for example. So in this flow, what we're really doing is we get an order into the fulfillment portal like normal. You might acknowledge it. And then what's going to happen is you actually issue then a warehouse shipment a warehouse shipment order document to your 3PL provider. And that's an EDI 940 document typically. And what occurs is that the 3PL at that point is going to go pick, pack, ship. They're going to do all of the processes that you rely on them for. They'll provide you back information in the form of a warehouse shipment advice document, an EDI 945, which effectively has all of the advanced ship notice information. So we actually have some pre-built interfaces inside the system to turn that document that comes from the 3PL into an actual advanced ship notice for your trading partners, for your customer. So the beauty of this is that you ultimately are kind of injecting these EDI processes into your existing process. If you kind of envision these blue boxes here as the existing process that you have in place, and these green boxes as third-party interface, it's a really easy way to inject this 3PL process or this warehouse process into your overall order to cash and fulfillment process. And so again, this is the steps you would take to perform this with EDI. Keep in mind that you don't actually have to do EDI to process this. Some of our customers actually let their 3PL providers into the fulfillment portal to perform some of the shipment requests. So you can actually give them some access. In other cases, again, back to the fulfillment portal integrated option, some of our customers also have these documents that instead of just simply going into the portal, we can produce a structured document behind the scenes that gets sent over to your partner that maybe they don't speak EDI, but they can handle a comma separated value file or an XML document or something similar that's a structured document, maybe not EDI, but close, and it has all the same information. So just be aware that, yeah, it's really easy for us to start layering in this fulfillment process here so that you don't either have to have a manual step with email and phone calls and things like that, or separate tooling to accomplish this. It's a really easy add if you need to expand out and add the additional trading partner and additional flows. It's a really natural extension. There's also processes here, depending on your business, depending on how you do your fulfillment and your storage of goods, you might also do other types of processes. So there might even be things like stock transfer, advice, and receipt, which would be something like if I'm a manufacturer or distributor, I might send goods to my warehouse. I'm not ordering anything from them, but I'm sending goods for them to take in and store for me. Maybe I've manufactured it and I'm sending them to actually store for me. Those documents and those processes are very similar, but they're just a little bit different. But again, for us, easy because they're just normal extensions of our integration processes. So whether those are EDI type documents, which again, in this case, it would be EDI 943, 944 to perform that function, or if it's structured document, or if potentially, again, if you want to let your 3PL or warehouse provider into the portal, we can provide for that as well. But just be aware again that for these third-party processes where we rely on somebody else to do the warehousing and the fulfillment for us, natural extension of the process that we can easily add in. And again, it's all the same visibility, all the same process flow. It's just a matter of simply layering these processes in if this is of value. The second thing I want to talk about is the ability for us to not only print packing and shipping type labels, along with a bunch of other documents. You can do packing lists, you can do bill of lading, you can do all kinds of fun stuff within the portal. Some of you, I'm sure, are aware of this and take advantage of it, and I'll show you this in just a second. What we've seen is some customers actually struggle with the volume of documents and labels that need to be printed. So what we can do here is I have a few screenshots and then I'll flip over and show some real product in a second. But what we do is we can print these in bulk if we want to. We can automate these as well. So we can actually have some triggers that kick these off, but we can print these in bulk if you want it. So for example, in your drafts or in your sent folder inside of the Web EDI fulfillment portal, you can go in there and multi-select and actually kick these out. So I'm going to actually flip over really quick and just show you this live because I think it's a really nice feature where, again, right now I'm just in my draft folder and I've got a bunch of different documents in here. The ones that we print with labels would be these 856 ASN documents. So you'll see here, a handful of these documents, I'll grab these, right click, and I can actually use this print function here. And what it does is actually goes through and says, all right, I'm going to print my packing labels or my master and mix labels. And I can just bulk generate these if I want to, and it'll just kick out a PDF depending on what type I select. You can also, again, do bulk export of things like packing slips and bill of lading and shipping manifest. So I'll just do a packing slip really quick just to show you what that looks like. But the beauty here, again, is that I don't have to do this one by one. If I've got 100 orders that I took over the last day or week or however, whatever time frame I'm looking at, I don't have to go through and one by one choose all of those. I can just very quickly multi-select a bunch of these and print them in bulk. So the real value is to cut out a lot of the manual step and just try to consolidate this as much as possible. It's a wonderful tool, and you're well invested if you're using the platform today. It's just about finding ways to use this more effectively and gain some efficiency. So again, this is an area that we've seen a lot of value from our customers to take advantage of. No additional purchase, no additional licensing or anything. It's just a matter of being a little more efficient in the use of the technology. Let me flip back over here. And then what I also want to talk about is in a little more detail, I want to describe the integration side of this because again, for these different documents that we process, and you saw the fulfillment portal here. I'll just flip back over. So you see the fulfillment portal here. I can enter data in for all these different documents and all my, I can see my orders and I can respond to these with certain response documents and enter data in. Great tooling in order to perform these different EDI functions. The challenge becomes if I've got 10 of these in a day or 100 of these in a day, it becomes taxing. And certainly some of our customers, especially folks that have limited resource availability, this becomes a bit of a struggle. So what we can do is you don't always have to manually key this data in because behind the scenes, what we can actually do, and I'll just flip over here, is we can automate these documents to actually interface with your systems of record. Now, the interface depends, of course, on which systems you use. So something like QuickBooks, we have a native connector for that. It's actually, I'll just flip back over. Some of you might use this. It's in here as a connector. Global Shop, we have a connector for that. If you use something else like Fishbowl, for example, great ERP, a lot of our customers use it. It actually has a really well-defined CSV interface, so we can produce and basically convert inbound orders to a standard structure that we pass to Fishbowl. It knows how to ingest and then just creates the order automatically inside of the system. And subsequently, when you acknowledge and provide shipment information and ultimately invoice, that same data comes back out of the system of the ERP in this case in a similar format. We pick it up. We know how to convert back to these actual EDI document structures per your customer's requirements. And we just simply convert that automatically. So you can either have that be a fully automated hands-free process, or you can stage these documents so you can have a look before they go out the door. Regardless, it's the same solution. It's the same look and feel. So if I kind of flip back over here, I'm bouncing back and forth between concept and reality, but the UI here, you get the same level of visibility. So this becomes still your visibility tool to see what's happening, even if we're automating these processes. So you'd still be able to see all the different documents. You'd still be able to see the status. If you use these status codes that we have within the tool as well, you'd be able to see what's been processed. If there's certain documents that are expected but haven't been processed, you can see that as well. You can have a history of all these different processes and transfers. So similarly, like I said, if I grab this order and I want to look at the associated ASN, I can see all of it here. I can see what was produced, even if this is fully automated. So it's a really valuable option that our customers take advantage of to actually, again, automate some of these flows. And the caveat here is you don't have to automate everything. You can automate certain partners, you can automate certain documents. So it just depends on what you like to institute. But conceptually here, the flow is the same. Or the transactions to and from partners are the same, the document structures are the same, the portal visibility that you get is the same. The difference is whether if we use the integrated option, it is an automated flow to and from your backend. So in that case, you don't have to be manually keying in data. You don't have to worry about fat fingering an extra key or an extra value into a field that isn't supposed to be there. And you can reduce some of the burden of that manual entry as well, so that again, if at volume, you don't have to be worried so much about timeliness and whether somebody was on vacation today and forgot to tell the backup person that they needed to pick this up. So it's just a nice way to, especially as your business grows, ensure that you can handle the volume and that you can reduce some of the potential manual data entry errors that come into play. And it's not just to different ERPs, because we also have integrations to FedEx, ShipStation, and some of our customers interface to like warehouse management tools. So again, if your third-party logistics firm, back to that use case, uses a tool like Extensiv, we can interface with that tool. We can pass documents back and forth in a non-EDI way if that's required. So it's just again, it's a nice easy extension to kind of convert what you're currently using. There's no reconfiguration. There's no massive change that has to be done in order to move you over and automate some of these different flows. It's just a simple, basically an upgrade that we can do in order to institute this. And then the other thing I want to mention too is, look, if the tool that you use in the web EDI fulfillment portal, awesome tool, fantastic functionality. What we find though is that at a certain point, some of our customers do kind of get to a point where they've gained enough complexity, enough volume. The business has grown to a point where maybe they need a little more rigorous integration capabilities. And so one of the things that Cleo brings now as part of the with the data trans acquisition that was done early this year, is that we can actually now move our customers to the what we call our Cleo Integration Cloud, if you need to have a more more rich, full-featured capability beyond just kind of EDI compliance. Again, not for everybody, and certainly not suggesting that all of our customers need to move there, but be aware that that is an option. And really, what that tool brings is much more extensive visibility, much more complex use case handling. So things like beyond just like simple SKU conversion, if I need to do lookups and validations and change prices and do some kind of really interesting logic as part of the order and fulfillment and invoicing process, can do all of that along with things like procurement and logistics and again all the different types of business to business processes that might exist. So again, your tool is fantastic. Keep using it and leverage some of these ideas that we've talked about. But be aware that if you do start coming into some other use cases that you find aren't supported in the Web EDI fulfillment portal, that we do have options for you. So with that, I want to pause here and answer any questions that you might have. And I do see that there's a question in the chat, at least in the Q&A. So one of the questions here is around, I'm just trying to paraphrase this a little bit. So the question is around how we do this label printing. And so the way that's done inside of the system is that, so for these different, I'll jump back to my drafts folder here just to kind of show this ASN. So the question is around how we handle like customer specific label requirements. And the answer is we actually do that based on partner profile. So when you add a partner in here, and I don't know if you've gone through the process of adding partners, is really straightforward. So if you ever have partners you need to add in, you can actually just go into this add trading partner selection up here and just choose the partner and transact this very quickly. But what we do is we actually have label specs for each of these different partners that are built in. You can set some of your own configuration. So if in here in my settings, I do have options for the UCC 128 label configuration. So just depending on how you need to print them out as well. So if I go in here, I can print them out on different types of printer pages, and if I'm doing like 4x6 labels versus like letter or Avery page, you can just set the sizing here. But again, there's not really a configuration that needs to be done because we just include that partner profile as part of the setup. And when you print, it uses the document structure that each of those partners have. There's another question around the catalog in here, and I think that's another really interesting piece to point out. So I'm glad it was asked, because the catalog, and hopefully folks are using this, but it's a really nice way so when we're fulfilling these different orders and responding to these orders, the catalog's a nice way to have information, and especially to do things like item versus SKU number conversion. So you can actually in here either manually add catalog information. You can also import, if you've got a spreadsheet, you can just simply import the detail. So you can actually go in here and say, all right, for a particular partner or for everybody. So maybe you have unique part numbers or unique products that you handle for each specific customer of yours. So you can specify where the catalog is supposed to be for. But I'll just kind of show this in a second. So what you do here is just set up different information about each of the different catalog entries. So you'll have things like your product ID and the trading partners that it's associated with, part numbers that we assign, along with some pack information. So the beauty of this is that when you're actually building out things like advanced ship notice and pack info, you don't have to be keying all this in every single time. You can actually say, all right, well, I'm fulfilling this particular product, and it has this particular weight, and there's this many items in a carton, and this many cartons we can define on a pallet. So again, you can build in some detail of the products you're actually fulfilling into the catalog here. And then when you're actually doing the conversion from order to shipment, you can use a lot of this information there to provide the pack and response document detail that's produced, especially in the 856 ASN document that comes back. And again, if you have a third-party logistics firm that handles that, maybe it's not so much a problem because you simply pass the order to them and they do a lot of that conversion. And certainly the packing information, the fulfillment process. But if you do any of that in-house, then certainly the catalog is a great tool. Okay, perfect. So I don't see any more questions here. Nope, sorry, I have one more in the Q&A. There's a question around Shopify for point of sale ordering. So a short answer here is that Shopify is actually something that we've been working on for a while. I don't have a firm date for you, but I can tell you that it is something that we should have an announcement here very shortly. So today the answer is no, but it very soon, and I believe that is within a couple of weeks, we should have a release that that we can provide some information. So we can certainly follow back up and provide some detail on that once we have a little more information to share. Great question. Fantastic. Okay, well, I want to hold to the half hour that we had scheduled. I appreciate the time from everyone today. If you have any questions at all as a follow-on, do not hesitate to reach out either to your representative, to our sales and support team. Let us know if we can help with anything at all. Really appreciate everyone's time today. And yeah, hopefully we can find some ways to help you scale out your EDI and automate a little more of your processes. So thank you everyone for the time today, and we'll hopefully talk soon. Thank you.